we don't have to spend too long on this, Chris, but am I wrong to feel better about this team moving forward after that second half, despite the fact that they lost than I did heading into this game?
Man, I think so. They lost to a really good team, and I think UConn's struggled a little bit with confidence, it seems, the last 2-3 weeks. And, Jordan Hawkins, Vanna and I have talked about it on a couple of shows. John's so hard on his it's potential. Like, if he can be half of what he was in the second half moving forward, I mean, he was coming off screens, Reggie Miller style.
Mm-hmm.
And, he can really shoot. And if he keeps that type of confidence, there's no telling what he can do. I really like their zone. With their two big guys, man, it's really hard to get extended in ball screens. When you're playing a team that might have, bigs that can handle the ball and shoot the ball, and you're out on the floor and you have that size, it's a way to keep those guys inside and closer to the basket when you play zone. And I thought they didn't just sit back in the zone. They were really active. And they rattled Xavier a little bit. They still turned them over 15 times. I just thought they buried themselves in such a hole in the first half that they spent a lot of energy to get back into it, just couldn't quite finish it off.
Mm-hmm. For the people that are joining us now that just listened to Alabama knock off Mississippi State, this is the Field of 68 After Dark. My name is Rob Dauster. I have with me Chris Mack and Randolph Childress. And Randolph, I'm going to you on this. It feels like UConn kind of figured something out down the stretch. Part of it is using that 1-3-1 and using that 2-3 zone and taking a little bit of advantage of the length defensively. The other part of it is kind of inverting what they do offensively, using Caravan more on the perimeter and letting Andre Jackson, a guy that Big East defenses have kind of figured out, don't guard him, putting him in and around the paint, and it pulls an extra defender out of the lane. And it felt like that kind of opened some stuff up. Is that something that's replicable moving forward, or is that just kind of a matchup specific thing against this Xavier team that kind of worked?
As Chris said, it's hard to do that when you got multiple handlers on another team. It works. You can work that you can hedge hard and do those things when you got a primary guy that's kind of a guy you want to take the ball out of his hands and make it hard for him. Xavier is just a tough matchup for anybody with that. But with Jackson's inability to consistently knock down perimeter shots, you got to do something different like that. They're not going to guard you. So if you're going to allow me to sit back off, it's going to struggle, and we're going to take away attempts from Sanogo. So just great coaching. I mean, it's just something adjustment that he made. Probably, I know in hindsight, he's probably kicking himself. I thought two things that he's probably going to look at tonight and be like, man, I wish I had reacted to. And Chris, I'd get your point on that. One is making that decision they did, putting Jackson at the 4. The other one was they had a ton of time at that last possession to take an easy 2, and then they kind of just took it. They delayed the game until they had to take the 3.
He called a timeout right before Georgia.
Yeah, and literally, and Hawkins makes the shot, right? And
I think it was a 2, though. I think
he took the 2, but when he took that 2, it was 15, 20. It was enough time where you were going to have to foul, and that's just a coach's decision. This is one of those things, you sit around and you talk in those huddles, and it's like, all right, quick 2, go for 3. And I always been the thing of you go for 2 on that because you string the game out.
Give
you enough chance because they may miss a free throw now when you only needed to, and everything changes.
They may turn the ball over.
They may turn it over, right? They may foul whatever you got to do. So there's a lot more options there. And I thought that last 25 seconds or so of that game is going to be something that Hurley's going to be, kicking himself about tonight.
I've seen games where Andre Jackson's knocked threes down.
Right.
I think that it can weigh on your mind, man. They played that mental game of playing way off of them. It'd been interesting to see had he made the first 2. I think Sean obviously really would have adjusted, and then the game may have been completely different. But there's ways to get him involved if he's still on the perimeter. They can get him downhill. They can get some isolation stuff where they clear out a side and get him to the rim, maybe get his confidence early on. But he's too good of an athlete, too good of a player. And then there were a couple times where they fed the low post, Rob, and they dove him. And I thought that was very effective. I mean, he gets his feet planted under him anywhere near the basket, man, you're going to get punched on. He's just that good of an athlete. He's one of the best ones in the country. So he may not be a great shooter, but, not putting him in that position all the time doesn't necessarily have to be just a low post.
Well, what I'm going to keep telling myself is that you want to go through your slump in January. Right? You want to figure it out in February, and you want to get hot in March. So all UConn is doing, it's just a slump still. It might be a 3-week, 4-week, month-long, 5-week, 2-month
Hey,
long.
when they won the national championship with Kevin Ollie, you remember their record?
Yeah. They were a 9 seed when they won it with Kemba. They're
There
a
you
9
go.
seed in the Big East tournament.
There you
They
go.
played on the first day of the Big East tournament when they won it with Kemba. So you just got to get hot at the right time. That's what we do at UConn. We lull you to sleep, and then we come
Ain't
back.
no Kimba Walker in that backcourt though.
No, hey, RC,
ain't no
come on.
Kimba Walker in that backcourt.